This is one of the most glorious and famous beaches in British history. The sand stretches unbroken as far as the eye can see. It's colonised by surfers, windsurfers, kite flyers and families. Yet I think relatively few people would recognise this beach. That's because I'm not in the UK, I'm at the northern tip of France. This is Dunkirk. Home to 200,000 people, some dramatic art and architecture, and perhaps the best mule frite in France, Dunkirk is strangely missing from the average British traveller's radar, which is surprising considering the town's crucial role in the 1940 evacuation of 1/3 of a million Allied troops in Operation Dynamo, and Dunkirk's present-day attractions. Starting with shopping, always a pleasure in France. And if you're after a one-stop shop, you can't do better than this giant hypermarket on the western outskirts of Dunkirk. Auchan, about the size of a small country. If you can't find whatever you're after here, you're probably better off without it. In Dunkirk itself, there are 600 retail opportunities, with many of the most alluring shops concentrated in the centre of town. You can find all the traditional shops that give you the real taste of France, or turn up any Wednesday or Saturday at this lively street market. Next, there's history. The origins of Dunkirk go back to the 8th century, but its most famous son was the 17th century privateer Jean Bart, who was a kind of legalised pirate and caused havoc amongst English shipping. He's revered by the French as a cross between Sir Francis Drake and Robin Hood. And the maritime tradition is still celebrated in the shape of this beautiful three-masted schooner, the Duchesse Anne. As with almost any French town, you need not look far for characterful, good value accommodation. Dunkirk has plenty of choice. Some hotels are overlooking the harbour, others have spectacular sea views, and there's also this one, recently refurbished and just a short walk from the centre of town. And if you venture just a short way beyond the town itself, you can find a little treasure like this one just outside Dunkirk, a 4-star property that oozes luxury. Lieu d'art et action contemporaine, which loosely translated means that this is Dunkirk's hidden valley full of modern art. Yet just a short drive away you can find picturesque Flemish towns like this one, Berg. It feels to me a little like Bruges across the border in Belgium, just without the crowds. Berg remains somehow an unspoilt medieval town. It's renowned for its fromage and its saucisson, and every carnival day the mayor throws pork sausages to the hungry peasants. The picturesque town of Gravelines sits on the banks of the aptly named River Aar and is but a short distance from Dunkirk. During the summer, this seaside town bustles with visitors from its ever-growing marina. You can visit the town's famous fortified citadel, but perhaps the real pleasure is to take a leisurely boat trip round this fully restored maritime fortress, a treat that's definitely, as they say, worth a detour. Eating out in Dunkirk can be a real adventure. There's more than 150 restaurants to choose from, and given the geographic location, you can expect a blend of classical French and Flemish cuisine, with dishes such as potjevlesh, which is easier to eat than it is to pronounce, a delicious mix of chicken, rabbit, pork and veal. Of course, the strongest suit has to be seafood. This is, after all, one of France's top 3 ports. And here at La Réserve, dinner can be an artistic experience. Dunkirk's location is best described as strategic. Paris is 3 hours drive due south from here, and beyond that the Mediterranean. And Dover is a mere 40 miles in that direction. less than 2 hours by ferry. I've tried all the ferry options from Dover, and I must say that Dunkirk strikes me as a lot more manageable than Calais. With only one ferry operator, there's less scope for confusion, and cars and trucks are very effectively segregated. The operator is Norfolk Line, which began on the route in the year 2000. Now, when I first tried the service, it was something of a no-frills option, an alternative to the existing ferry operators. But in the past few years, 3 new ships have been deployed on the route, offering cruise ferry standards, plus a price pledge to meet or beat other ferry operators' fares from Dover. There's restaurants, bars, quiet areas for just chilling, plenty of retail opportunities, play areas for children, and a rather swish VIP lounge. Norfolk Line now has 22% of the ferry market from Dover and carries more than 500,000 cars every year. But there's no sense of crowding, just a 21st century feeling of space, peace and quiet. Indeed, it's pretty much the exact opposite of the tunnel. You can dine out with a touch of class, stretch your legs on deck and watch the white cliffs of Dover approach, a warm welcome home after a happy adventure abroad.